Riley are going to participate tonight, which is really cool. Thank you for doing that, you four. But you can chill for a couple minutes. You can even take you turn your camera off because, teenagers don't want to be seen, especially in these stupid Zoom rooms or whatever we're in. Google Meet. And the rest of you, if you can keep your mics on mute, at the very end, we can open it up and I will address any questions that you have. Ahead of that, if you would like to put a question for some of our players when they start to speak and share a little bit of their experience, if you want to put it in chat, I will monitor that a little bit too, if I can figure out how to do that. Show everyone, chat with everyone. Okay, yeah, so I think I see it. I think I see chat. All right, so let's get started. I do not want to go over, and I promise you this will be less than an hour, and I think you'll get some value out of it. Pieces, if not everything. I'm going to present my entire screen. Christy, just be kind of quality control, so if I happen to, if my son starts to jump on YouTube to watch the 10 epic fails in La Liga, and my daughter gets on Netflix to watch Never Have I Ever, and my bandwidth drops and I freeze, let me know. Okay, here we go. Share entire screen. It's the best way I know how. Okay. So, Christy or Charlie or Riley or Emma, just take your mic off mute real fast. Can you see my screen? You see the first page?
Yeah, you're good.
All right, thank you. Okay. Here we go again. I would suggest you choose the spotlight or sidebar layouts for this, especially when the players start to speak. You certainly don't need to see me at all. And again, microphones on mute. Thank you for joining us for the College Placement Program webinar. I try to do this 3 or 4 times a year. Yes, there is some repeat information. I always start with this slide. Always, okay? Every player in Valor can find themselves an opportunity at the next level. It will be harder for some than others. That, yes, has a little bit to do with ability, but the way you make it happen, and I'm speaking to both players and parents a little bit, is if you're motivated to make it happen, okay? And that is obviously attending college, okay? The academic rigor that is required. I really do hope that most of you do have that motivation to get yourself to an institution of higher learning, but you can keep playing soccer. As I said to one of my teams today, if your dream is to play for the Stanford Cardinal, and you are currently a senior in high school or about to be a senior, and you have never been to their ID camp, and you have no video of yourself playing, and your GPA is 2.9, I have to break some news to you. You're not going to make it happen. But if you are open-minded about where and at what level, we can make it happen. My job, our job at Valor, I take very seriously, is to give you the tools. And then it's up to you. It's up to you, and you're going to hear from a couple players who have made it happen most recently. You must be proactive. Okay, so what is proactive? I'll just read the definition. It describes a person who gets things done. If you are proactive, you make things happen instead of waiting for them to happen to you. So the way I can put that is that coach from Stanford, that coach from UW, that coach from St. Martin's, that coach from George Fox, even the coach from Bellevue College, they are not going to tap you on the shoulder and say, "Hi, my name is Richard. My name is Jeremy. I want you to come play for me." You have to initiate that in some way, shape, or form. If you do, good things happen. Olivia Cowley, straight from Valor to Lewis and Clark. Brandon Day, goalkeeper, Division II, Northwest Nazarene. Isaiah Trask, playing at the University of Findlay. University of where? That is in Ohio, if I'm not mistaken. You have to quiz me on that one later. Amelia Harrison hasn't had the opportunity to play college soccer yet because of the pandemic, but she committed to Green River. And there are more. I do, and obviously I won't do this frequently. I only get to do this one time, but I speak both as a director and as a father. Really excited and proud of my son Evan, who he recently committed to a Division II school in Colorado. So I've been through it on many sides, and I'm happy to have conversations with you guys about it. That group of 5 that he's with there are all from his one club team. One's going to Northwest Nazarene, one's going to Whitman, one's going to Redlands, one's going to George Fox, and then Evan, you can guess which one he is. Short and redheaded. Gee, I wonder where he got that from. He's going to Metro State. So here's what we're going to do tonight. First of all, we're going to obviously say congratulations and good luck to all of our graduating Valor players. I don't know them all offhand. I did reach out to every single one of them, and I got some information back. Other people, a little less so. So I can't acknowledge everybody, but we will do that. And our Wall of Fame, which we're really proud to add 2 players to that tonight, Johnny and Emma. Soccer ID camps have come back, and they're back with a vengeance, you guys. So, and there are a bunch of them coming up, so I'm going to help you with that. In fact, a group of our players went to an ID camp over the weekend. The 2 of them are going to share their experience. We're going to check in on the checklist. We're going to fly through that, so don't feel like you have to scribble everything down. This entire slideshow will be up on the College Placement Program page on our website within 48 hours. Quickly talk about highlight videos, show you where that page is on the website, and then I will sit around and answer any questions for you. Okay? So first and foremost, congratulations. Give a virtual round of applause. We're all on mute, so nobody can hear them. Would we like to do some of this in person? Sure. Are we ready? Not necessarily. I don't know if, especially with the rise in cases, indoor gatherings are not a good idea. So I can tell you that Hope and Bella, whom I've coached over the last year, are off to Washington State University. Go Cougs. They will not be playing soccer, but we're very proud of them. They're the 2 girls on either side of the Wazoo logo there. TJ Hirschberger is going to Eckerd College, which is in Florida. He may or may not be playing college soccer, last I heard. Aiden Warren at the bottom there is going to go to Green River. They do not have a men's soccer program. We, in our community, are trying to change that, by the way. So I expect a men's program at Green River College very soon. And there are others. I'm sorry if I missed you and you're on this call. Tried to track down everybody. I will fully acknowledge that this is mostly about 2 players who are with us, and they're joining our Wall of Fame. We're kind of slowly building a Wall of Fame on our College Placement Program webpage. It's at the bottom, and it's 7 strong now, which may not seem like a lot, but considering our club is basically a year and a half old and went through a pandemic, I'm really proud of that, and I expect the numbers to rise pretty quickly. But I really want to stop and congratulate Emma Rutledge, whom I've coached for the last year and a half or so. She is headed to Bellevue College. She has an interesting story to tell about her soccer journey, and that is a junior college, as you know, in Bellevue, in a very competitive NWAC conference. And who knows where that will lead her. But congratulations to Emma. And then Johnny Keblish. I've just gotten to know Johnny a little bit over the summer. He's off to George Fox University. That is a Division III school in another really competitive conference called the Northwest Conference. So congratulations to those 2. We want to stop here, and I'm going to shut up because I want to have them sort of share their story. So ladies first, okay? Emma, this is where you got to put your camera on. First of all, congratulations, Emma. Yeah, you deserve it. You're a fantastic player. Your vision is probably what separates you, your ability to make the pass. After that tight first touch, you're very technically gifted as well. So what I would like to do, and we don't have to spend 10 minutes, it can just be 5 minutes, but first talk about kind of your soccer story. When did you start playing? You can talk about various clubs or whatever. and ultimately leading to where you're going to play in a couple months. And I know there were some twists and some turns, so go ahead.
So I started playing club soccer as young as they had it at the time. Um, I don't remember how old I was, but I started with the Slammers, who merged with MRFC after my fourth year. And then I moved to another club for 2 years. Then came to Valor for my last year. And I wasn't too focused on soccer at the beginning. For college, I was more focused in the academics and what I would need to do in the future. But I was approached with an offer for Green River, and after consideration, I decided to stay home and take that. But with the pandemic, they did not have enough people, and the coach left. And with all of that, the program was kind of shut down for the season. And so that just happened about in the last 2.5 weeks. And so I immediately reached out to the athletic director and Keith and tried to get as many options out there as possible. So I had about 3 offers out of all of the help, and I decided to go to Bellevue College.
How did let's start with Green River real fast. You said you were approached with an offer. Did Kelvin, the coach at the time, just tap you on the shoulder, or how did that relationship start?
It started back in my earlier club years, and through that, also he had some players that had played with me in high school, so he had been exposed to watching me play over the years, and so he did reach out to me when when the recruiting was happening, to offer me a spot.
Yep. Um, and then for lack of a better term, falls apart. It just fell apart because the coach left, Kelvin left. Green River, obviously coming out of the pandemic, they did not try to get a season in last year, and that hurt them a little bit. So tell the kids, what the last 2 weeks was. You scrambled. You deserve an opportunity. I think you're actually going to be in an even better place. How did it all play out?
Well, it started with finding out there wasn't a coach. After that was kind of a waiting game to hear anything from the athletic director. And about a week after we found out there was no coach, she sent out and said, there's only 5 people, and we're not going to have a season. And my only options were to stay on the roster and not play soccer and still receive my scholarship, or I could not play soccer at all and transfer somewhere, or I could try to find as much help as I could to transfer to another school.
So how did you do it? How did you ultimately end up at Bellevue in the span of a week and a half?
Um, I had Keith and the athletic director reach out. I talked to each of the 3 coaches, had emails with them, phone calls, getting all the information, talking with my parents, and kind of just doing a lot of thinking about what would be best for me.
So you were proactive.
Yes.
And you actually received a couple different offers, basically, and then you met with Richard on campus, and he kind of at least you established a relationship, and you walked you around a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, great. I'm thrilled for you. And I'm going to ask you in just a minute. Do you have any advice? Like, if you could go back 2 or 3 years, if you have any advice or anything that you've picked up. All right, Johnny, your turn. I like the Seahawks too, buddy, but there he is. Okay. Johnny, your soccer story, just in 2 or 3 minutes, when did you start playing, and how did you end up with an offer to play college soccer at George Fox in a really good conference?
Um, well, I first started playing soccer when I was pretty young, and it wasn't very serious at all for a long time. I just played rec, and then I ended up making the Rapids white team or their B team, and I played on that team for a couple of years, and it was just me and my buddies. It wasn't anything like I didn't want to, play college soccer or do anything like that. And then as I got into high school, I just kept I really fell in love with it, and I started playing more. And I just started playing every day. Then I, yeah, just, well,
You're a soccer rat. That I know about you already. Yeah, I mean, not that Emma isn't, but this is a kid that is out early. I see him working on his own, 3 fields across from me, and I notice those things, and so do college coaches. But how did you hook up with George Fox and Biniam? And then we can kind of tell people what the twist and the tail is of your story. But how did you hook up with Biniam, the coach at George Fox?
I actually knew one of his friends, so a friend of a friend knew Biniam, and I talked to him, and I got Biniam's number, and he had an ID camp coming up, and I sent him a text letting him know that I was coming, and I sent him my highlight video that I had made, and then I went down there and I played really well, and he talked to me right afterwards, like, hey, I thought you played well, I'd like to, bring you down and give you an offer, basically. So.
Which is, you're going to hear it over and over again. But again, that's the action on Johnny's part to establish he reached out ahead of his participation in the ID camp, which is important. And he also had some video. And, you can be great on a day at an ID camp, or you can stink up the joint. Let's be honest, right? You can have a day that you don't feel happy about. But if you've got the video to back you up and you've done you've laid the groundwork with a relationship, yeah, so it worked out brilliantly, and you had a great day, and sometimes that works too. I remember as a player having, I can tell you the one moment, probably the most important moment of my soccer career, who it happened in front of, and what ultimately resulted from it. But all right, so you walk up to me 3 or 4 days ago, and what do you tell me about your exciting new college soccer journey?
Well, the coach that recruited me, Biniam, he ended up resigning a month before the season, just unexpectedly. So
And so are you quitting on George Fox and just dropping out of college, and you're going to go work at 7-Eleven now, or what?
No, I'm still going.
Yep.
So.
And I don't know if you know this, Johnny, but I can report they've already got the interim coach in place. I don't know if you've been contacted. I think he's coming over from the women's side and I don't know him personally, but he's got, certainly got the credentials. So, yeah. All right. So I'll come back to Emma in a second, but Johnny, if you could go back 2 or 3 years, I mean, it sounds like you fell in love with the game and you started to take the action necessary, but you got any advice for everybody who's, a year or two behind you in all this?
Yeah, just try and play every day. That's what I did. Even, when it feels like you're not like the best player on the field and everyone around you better than you, just keep playing. Eventually you'll get there.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm sure there were teams, Johnny, that you weren't the best player on the team, were you?
Yeah, almost every team I was on.
Every team, yeah, and we could even argue. No, I'm not gonna, not gonna try to, slam your self-esteem here a little bit. But there are days when I'm out training with you right now that there are other players better than you are. But it's that desire, it's that motivation, right? Although the goal you scored today was probably the best moment of training. So, Emma, any advice to the players who are on this call? Everybody on this call is interested in playing college soccer. What can you tell them?
I would say definitely, looking at a lot of cases, it's never too late when you think it is, and you just need to be proactive, like you're trying to say over and over again, because that makes the difference between playing and not playing, no matter how far behind you are.
Yep. You can't catch up. So when we get to that checklist here in a few minutes, guys, if you are way behind, don't worry about it, because you can still make things happen for you. Is it best to be on schedule? Sure, it is. And there are certain things that you got to do, but it's okay. You can scramble. And in both of these cases, this is what I think I'm really most proud of regarding Emma and Johnny. Obviously, there was a strange development in Johnny's situation. The coach that recruited him resigned, needs to spend more time with his family, so on, and I get that. And college soccer is a lot of turnover, let's be honest. You don't always end up playing for the coach that recruited you. And in Emma's case, where she committed, didn't work out, and she scrambled and made it work. So you talk about, it's never too late. Gosh, both of them have been dealt something interesting in the last couple weeks. So, all right, well, you two guys, the earliest members of our Wall of Fame, are probably the most important members because it's going to start to cascade. We're going to start to see exponential growth in this area. I hope. But you guys are groundbreakers. You're setting the standard. You're our pioneers. We really appreciate it. The club is going to give Emma and Johnny a little assistance in their next soccer experience. We're going to give you $100, soccer.com, so you can go buy some new flashy boots that will give you blisters on the first day of preseason. So break them in, please, or whatever you want to spend the money on. But that's our token to you guys, okay? And we wish you the best. And I'll see you here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, guys. Congratulations. I know that Johnny's got to go. Emma can start to do other things if she needs to as well. But really appreciate having you guys on. Okay. All right, we're going to move on now. Okay. This is where we were. And there they are. Off they go to brilliant things. Okay, ID camps. They have returned. I probably spent too much time doing this over the weekend. But again, this slideshow will be available on the College Placement Program page on the website. So I don't feel like you got to scribble this down, but I will stay on this for like 60 seconds here. I literally went to every college soccer program in the state of Washington. Not junior college, but Division 1, 2, 3, NAIA. And then I expanded that out a little bit at certain levels in Oregon and Idaho. I did not go any further than that. There are all kinds of camps, I think, in California. And obviously, if you have a dream school, you should be looking at that one on your own. But here are upcoming ID camps. And if you click on these links, I'm not going to do it now, but it'll take you right to that page. What are the importance of ID camps? It gets you in front of those college coaches. And do it as a freshman if you can, because by the time you go back for your third year as a junior, you're going to be a better player, and they sure as heck are going to know who you are. And it's about proving your interest in them. So there are just some options. There are other ID camps as well. I do want to make this point. College ID camps can be expensive. Some of them are very expensive. Some of them are not quite worth the money, I'll be honest. And I will say one of these, you can't see which one I'm pointing at, and that's by design. But one of these, for the price, is a waste of time on this list. Which one is it? Which one is it? But I'm not going to be that harsh on this call. I'm just going to say that these single program camps, of which these are all single program camps, if you're definitely interested in that school, great choice. But you also have to be interested in what they offer academically as well. And it has to fit what you believe is your current academic track. So let's see, what's a really demanding academic school on this list? Whitman is pretty demanding academically. So if you have a lower GPA and you don't think you're going to be able to cut it there, then I wouldn't go to that ID camp. Camps that have coaches from multiple college programs are the most valuable. So it's worth doing some homework. Is Gonzaga on August 6th and 7th, are they going to have Whitman and Whitworth and the College of Idaho and Central Washington there as well? Those are the really good ones. There are those aggregate ID camps. Pac Northwest Soccer Club holds one. They just held one, I think, a couple weeks ago. That's a good camp, no doubt. And then there's some others that are run by outside entities. Those can be decent as well. Okay? All right. So what is an ID camp about? Well, just this last weekend, a handful of players from Valor went to St. Martin's ID camp, which is down in Lacey by Olympia. It's a Division II school. And there are some photos from them taking part in the ID camp. And then you see Riley on the right and Charlie on the left. And they're not going to take us through every touch that they made and every pass that landed perfectly at the foot of a player farther up the field, resulting in a goal. But they're just going to kind of say, okay, here's how I found you. I just want to hear from you guys what your experience was like at the camp, how you felt kind of emotionally going through it, and then what it was. Like, how did the day start? What did you do? So that kids on the call have some idea as to what it is. So who wants to go first, Riley or Charlie?
We kind of like planned ahead and have like a little script.
Awesome. I'll sit back and enjoy.
Back and forth on. Okay. So it all started at our last tournament, which was the Crossfire Challenge. And Keith, you emailed us saying that there was going to be a bunch of college scouts that were going to be there. And you gave us a list of what colleges they're from and how to contact them. And I picked through the ones that I was really interested in and emailed them, one of them being the St. Martin's coach, Coach Cato. And at such a young age that we are, she can't really reach out to us saying, oh, I want you to come to this game. So she just offered us a spot to go to her ID camp, which I picked, and I know so did Riley, and so did a couple others. And that's how we first started connecting.
Yeah, and the camp was from 8:30 to 4 on Saturday. And we had 2 sessions of like actual soccer, like playing. So the first session was like right after we got there and did all the registration and everything. And it was just like a bunch of rondos and 6v6 activities pretty much. And then we took a break and had a campus tour and lunch, and had a chance to ask some questions to the current St. Martin's players, and get some of our questions answered about what D2 soccer is really like.
Yeah, and in the very beginning, we were really nervous, but the college coaches are actually super welcoming and super sweet. And overall, it went really well. And the Valor group that we had go was about 5 of us, I'm pretty sure. And we were the youngest set of girls there, which was nice because we were getting to play against the older, more advanced girls, which showed the coach we were capable and we learned a lot from them. It was really organized too, and everyone was super welcoming, like I said earlier, and sweet. Also, since there was only a small amount of people that signed up for the whole ID camp, Coach Cato herself was able to personally get to know each player and give tips to all of us, which was amazing. And it kind of like left our name stuck in our head, which was really nice.
Yeah, it was really nice being able to like have her personally know you and give you advice. She gave us advice actually on our recruitment process since we are so young. And she says that she does know about like our limited communications, but she does want us to keep reaching out and initiating conversations and just keep staying interested, because she will remember us. So,
yeah, she talked about how if we're not the ones reaching out to her first, then it makes us seem like we're not interested anymore and they just completely forget about you. So if you're really wanting to go to a specific school, she said make sure you send lots of emails and stay in touch. So that was really important. And also, for anybody wondering, one of the questions I'm pretty sure Riley asked the teammates was, no, actually it was the coach. So she asked her, how many people on your roster did you actually pick up from ID camps? And Riley, do you want to answer that part?
Yeah, so she actually said that a majority of her team, like basically everyone, was picked up from ID camp. So that was really nice to hear, because then you know that like when you're going, she is actually trying to identify people for her team. So it was nice to know that we might be getting recognized and used for later consideration.
And overall, I think it was really fun. I was glad I went to it, and I'm really excited to go to a bunch of more of them. And once I went to the first one, now I kind of know what's next and what the next steps are. So I'm really excited about that. And it's mainly just emailing all the coaches I'm really interested in and going to the ID camps. And at our age, that's pretty much the only steps we can do right now. And that's about it, Keith.
That's the end?
Yep, that's the end.
Hey, bravo. Okay, I thought that was excellent. Very helpful. I do have a follow-up question. Am I allowed a follow-up question?
Yep.
Okay. But first, let me say a couple things. One, when they mention that the coach can't contact you, there isn't a lot of back and forth. They are obviously bound to recruiting guidelines and restrictions. And Division I and Division II schools, it's very clear when they can and they can't communicate with you. If you're a freshman or a sophomore, you're not going to get anything back from them. Let's just put it that way. A Division III school, that coach is allowed to communicate with you regularly, and an NAIA school is the exact same. Okay, so that's what they mean when they say that. It is a one-way street. It's a one-way street, but then you get into an ID camp environment. The coach is right in front of you. She has the ability to communicate with you, to at least get to know you, see you as a player, and maybe even give you some feedback that you can take. So another thing, you guys said you were the youngest in the camp. Well, how valuable is that, both from a development standpoint and from a confidence standpoint? I got to imagine if you guys go back next year, you're going to be even more confident, and you're probably going to play even better. And that is a really important point. A lot of these schools identify players from their specific ID camps. I'm not going to say all of them. I just told you a few minutes ago that there's at least one school I know of. They're basically just making money on their ID camp, in my opinion. Okay? And there are reasons for that are understandable. All right, so here's my follow-up question for both of you. How well did you play? How did you manage your emotions, especially against the big, scary older girls? How did it go soccer-wise for you personally, and how did you handle that?
Okay, so first off, I feel like I played really well. Obviously, I had my mistakes, but I owned up to them, and I just got right back up. I didn't want to act like I was really disappointed in myself, because I know that's not like what a good player should do. So overall, soccer-wise, I feel like it was really hot. They had us working a lot. So by the end, a lot of us were pretty tuckered out, but she was really trying to see like who could keep going, endurance-wise and mindset-wise. And I know myself and a lot of other people did really good at that. And then also, what was the second part of that question?
I'll have a second part. I can always come up with it. I'm good with that. That's my other job, is to interview people. Did you play center back the entire time?
No, I did not. I wanted to kind of show that I could be more of a utility player and play in multiple spots. Even though I was probably best at my normal position, center back, I was like, hey, I can play any spot you want to put me in, because it kind of showed that I'm flexible and can play as a utility player.
So, Riley, how was it for you? Were you nervous, and then did the nerves dissipate? Did you feel like you had good moments?
Yeah, I think overall I'm really happy with how I played and my performance. As like mentality goes, I think I was pretty nervous in the beginning, and some of my touches might have been a little bit bad in the first run those, but overall, like after time, it did really go away, and I think I started becoming more comfortable and didn't even think about it really. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it went.
Yep, 8:30 to 4. They're not formulating opinions on a player by 8:45. Okay, so and I'll be honest with you, even in some tryout environments that I've been a part of, mostly in club, but whether it's not a tryout environment, it's just it's an exposure environment. So you have eight hours, or the better part of, let's say, 4 or 5 hours on a soccer field to just show who you are. And part of it, I like what Charlie said about, okay, when I made a mistake, it's more about how I reacted. And you're right. I think Coach Cato was looking for those the intangibles, right? It's not necessarily, oh, she's got a great left foot, or wow, she just beat that player 1v1. They're looking at a heck of a lot more than that. Okay, so it was a valuable experience for you guys, you think?
Definitely.
Okay, and so now what you do is, you do research on the school. Because if you know what you want to study and the school doesn't offer that, then you gotta spread your wings. My son nearly went to St. Martin's, so that was one of the final 3 schools for him. So awesome, cool. Thank you guys. You were fantastic. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna fly through a few more slides, give you some information here. And then we're on our way, but I think, obviously that was the good stuff. But The rest is important, okay? All right, so checking in on the checklist, okay? You're currently a freshman, all right? Just concern you, well, I shouldn't say currently. How about you're entering your freshman year? Entering your freshman year, your grades are far more important than how well you play soccer for your JV team, your varsity team, or even Valor. I'm going to be honest. You should create a big list, 20 schools that you're interested in, and they should be from all levels. As Charlie and Riley just said, email college coaches, especially ahead of playing in a tournament, and fill out the recruiting forms on their websites. But again, not many are going to reply yet. And maybe go to 1 or 2 camps, just like those ladies. Sophomore year. Now you're starting to go, okay, I don't think I have the grades for that school, or they don't have my major, or that one. I don't want to go to Florida. Or maybe you go to the ID camp and you hate the coach. Maybe you go to the ID camp and you realize you don't like the campus. Whatever the case may be, you start to trim some schools, right? Again, keep contacting coaches regularly. And again, the best time to contact coaches, guys, like Johnny said, and Charlie and Riley, is, obviously ahead of when you think they might see you play, ahead of an ID camp, ahead of a tournament, so on and so forth. And now maybe you're being a little more specific about the ID camps that you attend. Now look at the thing in red at the bottom. Begin compiling video highlights. Okay? This, I got to tell you, in today's world, is almost mandatory to have video of yourself playing. Does it have to be awesome video? Does it have to be your best stuff? Does it have to be professionally edited? No, it doesn't, but you're going to need to have it. All right. When you get to your junior year, right now you might have coaches come back to you, even at the Division I and Division II level, if you haven't gotten that love back from a Division III or an NAIA coach. I got to tell you, even our best players probably don't get much back at all from anybody, including D3 coaches, until you're midway through your junior year. So don't panic if you don't get anything back. And that's because, number one, they're restricted in many ways. Number two, they're too busy. They're dealing with the next year, the class that's coming in, okay? You should have a highlight video created by the beginning of your junior year. That's at the latest, okay? And you should be sharing that as much as you can. Senior year, you can see it gets a lot more intensive, okay? You start to apply for schools. Now you've got a realistic top 5 list, and this is where you add schools that have reached out to you. Don't poo-poo a school. I just said poo-poo. Don't just turn down a school because you've never heard of it. I'll be honest with you guys. I think it was right before my senior year. Somebody called me from some little rinky-dink school in California called Santa Clara University. I had never heard of it. I didn't know where it was. I probably couldn't tell you if it was in Northern California or Southern California. And, a year later, I'm playing for a team that would ultimately win the Division I National Championship. So don't turn down schools just because you don't think you'd like it. Really, if they take an interest in you, you take an interest in them. Update your highlight video. And then reach out to programs that you think would be a legitimate possibility for you. This is when, I know it's scary, but you can pick up a phone and call any college coach you want to. If a coach calls you, call them back. If a coach texts you, text them back. If a coach emails you, email them back. Okay? All right. So can you create a highlight video that markets yourself? What I wrote here, I think, is not overstating it. The best thing, aside from having a college coach stand there and watch you play at an ID camp or in a tournament or during a league match, is having video to show them. And that's because it can be from multiple matches. And you can really showcase a lot of what you do. You have to update them. Okay, so, Riley and Charlie went and played in the St. Martin's ID camp, right? Okay, great. And they might have had a video. Maybe they don't. But 6-7 months from now, if they've got a video, they can just send it to Heather and go, Here's a video of my last 3 or 4 matches. What you don't want to do is just share them an entire link of an entire 90-minute video, okay, or a 90-minute match. So let me give you quick tips. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. The ideal length of a highlight video is between 2 and 6 minutes. Like I said, do not just send them a link of your 90-minute match. You got to do some work, okay? Show various skills. So as much as you love to show yourself banging in goals from 30 yards, you got to show some other things. And it should include defending. That's a big part. And your movement off the ball. So that kind of comes to this next thing. You do want to trim your clips. Like I said, don't just, hey, here's a 6-minute clip and I'm right in the middle there. I make a pass. That's not going to work. Okay. So you do want to edit and trim the clip, but don't make it too tight. So just before the action, what's happening? Did you recognize that you needed to pull wide? Did you identify that you had to be the first defender? And then just after, right? What's the result in what you did well? Make it clear who you are. So if it's a bunch of ants running around, you're going to have to figure out how to freeze a video and put a circle around yourself or an arrow. Now that's if possible. Some of you may not have the ability to do that, but it's important that they know who they're looking at, okay? Put your best clips at the front of the video, like no duh, right? The first 2 or 3 clips should be, some of your best stuff. What I would do in the videos I've made, not just for my son, but for multiple players over the years, is I put, maybe highlight, if we ranked them, let's say you got 12 clips, put highlight 1, 2, 4, and 6 right off the top. And then maybe save highlight number 3 for the very end. See what I'm doing there? Okay. So that's the balance of it's good. Yes, the video that comes from the elevated angle, so one of those really high tripods or somebody who's got a camera up in the stands or the bleachers, those are the best clips. You can have some stuff from field level, but it's got to be clear who you are, okay? Music, guys, is just not necessary. You don't have to put your favorite banger from Kanye on there. Am I dating myself? You don't have to put Olivia Rodrigo, because if you do, YouTube's probably going to shut it down. And I don't think coaches generally mute that anyway. Okay? By the way, I should say about the video highlights and creating a reel. I can help you with that personally. I do a little bit of work on the side in creating videos for players. So reach out to me individually and personally if you'd like some help there. Obviously, it takes a little bit of time, so it would be independent of all of this and would not be gratis. I think parents would know what gratis means. Okay, all of the resources, just to do it, boom. You go to resources, college placement program, and Christy's done a really good job building out the website. If you scroll through this, there's the webinar that we're on right now, and here's this wall of fame that we're building, which is really cool. But if you keep going, the past webinars, so we'll get the presentation slides up for this in the next 2 days, okay? And then I've got that annual checklist on there for you. There's highlight video tips. What do you send to a coach ahead of a tournament? What do you say? Here's an example of asking your current head coach to write a letter of reference. I would time that pretty well. Like I wouldn't ask for a letter of reference if you're not even in high school yet. I would wait on that. Pick the right coach at the right time. Okay? And that is it. Thank you for joining us. There are over 50 people on this call. Really impressed by that. You can leave the meeting now if you'd like. I will sit here on my porch and answer any questions you have. You can just take it off mute or you can put it in chat. But we were done in 45 minutes. Valor on 3. No. Any questions from anybody? This has been recorded, so we're going to try to get that up too. Send you a link.
Hey Keith, is Valor going to have any ideas in the future?
Run our own ID camp. Great idea. We would love to do that. It's on my radar. I don't think it will happen this soccer year. So between now and next April or May, I want to do it the right way. So the honest answer is yes, but not in the coming months. I would like to run an ID camp in the summer of next year. And I'll be honest and tell you that I think I would like to focus that ID camp on local schools. So smaller schools. I'm not, if we run an ID camp next summer, and you think that the University of Washington and Stanford and Wazoo should be there, they won't. But I want to run an ID camp that's kind of the next level, which would be some of those local D3 schools, a couple NAIAs, and a number of junior colleges, because I don't want anybody on this call to think that junior colleges are any less than. I actually believe it's a great way to get started, because after 2 years, you can then decide, okay, I'm done with soccer. You can decide I can move on now to a Division III, Division II, or even Division I school and go get my degree there. So it's kind of the answer that I can give you at this point. Next summer.
Okay, another question. Dead periods. When are the dead periods for women's soccer? Coaches.
Yeah, I don't have it off the top of my head. And you know what? The last year and a half has been a dead period. Division I basically shut down all of their recruiting through the pandemic, and they just opened it up. It kept getting extended, and I think it was on August 1st. So July 1st? I can't remember. It's open now, but they kept pushing it out. There are segments of the calendar where coaches are not allowed to communicate with players. I think that's less important for you to know. You could do the research and find out what those are. A simple Google search will bring that up for you. I think the bigger picture stuff that you need to know is an NAIA and a Division III school, coaches can communicate with anybody at any time. Division II is restrictive, but not as restrictive as Division I. And Division I and Division II schools, basically, don't quote me on this, but basically they're not going to talk to you. They can't do much with you until you started your junior year or the summer before your junior year. The little dead periods, you can look that up and find out.
I couldn't find it. I was looking everywhere because it was so good stuff. Can't find it anywhere.
Well, I'll put a note, and I'll try to look it up for you. But you know what? When they reach the point where they can communicate with players, those dead periods are very, they're fluid. Let's put it that way. Some coaches, it can be, I can't call you back, but we can text. It's crazy that it's literally like it's a 200-page thing that these coaches have to memorize, and then they don't always do the best job of compliance. So, a couple questions in chat. For highlight reels, do you recommend filming training sessions? No. Firm answer there. I would say no to that. Just matches. Scrimmages are fine. If your parent wants to sit in the bleachers of an ID camp for another school, sure. Training sessions, I would say no to that. I think that kind of is a little bit of a red flag, I think. How come she doesn't have match or he doesn't have match highlights? Now, some video is better than no video. What can we do in school to improve our chances of recruitment? Good question. The answer to that is have a good GPA. Starts with that. I'm not kidding. Those of you who are still on, obviously are very interested and committed to learning about all of this. I got to tell you, if your GPA is less than 2.5, you're going to have a hard time because college soccer is not a revenue sport, and they got to recruit a student first. So, yeah, GPA, number one. Number two, this proactivity that we keep talking about. Don't be a pain in the butt to coaches. You don't have to email them every week, okay? Especially if you're a freshman or a sophomore. But reach out to them. They need to know who you are in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's an ID camp or you keep sending them emails ahead of the tournament. And then anytime you get a little nibble, reply back in kind. Like I said, it may not be the school that you want initially, but it could be a school that you're very happy with ultimately. If the question is more about like performance, what can we do in school to improve our chances of recruitment? Just keep playing club soccer. I don't want to, shoot, Ray Johnson, our DOC, is a high school soccer coach. I coached high school soccer for 2 years. The reality is there are some great high school soccer teams and there's some really good high school soccer coaches, but you don't get recruited out of high school soccer. Very, very rarely. So just keep playing club soccer. You do not have to be on an ECNL team. You don't even have to be on the A team in your club. Does it help? Sure, it helps. But nobody knows what team you play on when you go to an ID camp for a school. Let's put it that way. Not really. Not as you're out there playing. Would a reference... Somebody just raised their hand. Who was that? You can just take your mic off mute and ask if you want to. I missed that. Sorry. Just jump in. Interrupt me. Would more reference letters from coaches you've had in the past couple of years be extra icing on the cake? Or one letter at the right time? Good question, Liam. I think the answer is one good letter at the right time. You're not applying for a job, so you don't need to submit 4 references. I do think that, when you email a coach, especially if you're a junior, senior-ish, maybe just saying, hey, here are 3 coaches you can contact about me. So, high school coach, current club coach, and a previous coach that would say good things about you. But one strong letter of reference from maybe the most experienced or highest licensed coach you've been involved with, and it's got to be somebody that knows you as a player and as a person and has seen you play multiple matches. How many video clips do you need? My rule of thumb is 10 video clips makes a reel. Can you do it with 5 or 6? Sure. Do you need 25? That's probably too many. iPhone videos, they'll work, okay? But if it's a little bug running across the screen from field level and you got to pick her out through 25 other players, it's not going to be very effective. So, I would say most kids these days, have some fluency in terms of manipulating video. I mean, they got to do TikTok. So can you zoom in on a video? Can you slow-mo it? Those kind of things can help. But again, they don't have to be professional videos. Can we see the player and can we see what she's doing? Can we see the player and can we see, his actions, right? That would be all you need. And, I would be happy to look at, just shoot me a link to a video and I'll give you my feedback. Okay.
Hey, KB.
What up, Ray?
Hey,
You're
guys.
on too, dude.
Hey, the one thing for the high school that is pretty good is they almost record every game. So you could probably grab some clips from there if your kids are playing in high school also.
Yeah, and that's a very good point because the reality is, there aren't a lot of college recruiters at high school matches, but it is totally fine to use high school match video. Absolutely. It helped my own son because he was playing a different position in high school, and the coach wanted to see him in that position, and he wasn't playing a lot of that at club. So it's a very good point. Okay. Well, we got, 60 people on the call at one point. We're down to 23, and I appreciate everybody's time, and I hope you found it valuable. And thank you and congratulations to Emma and Johnny. They'll get their soccer.com cards, and I thought Charlie and Riley were fantastic. So if you ever see them out on the fields, let them know that. Very helpful. And I am here for you, just not for more than 10 seconds this evening. 5, 4, 3, 2, Valor on 3. 1, 2, 3.